Let's not forget the infamous incident involving 35-year-old Michael McDonald.
Guys, assistance in 15 charges. 15 charges. Come on, please, I don't want to.
Who was accused of violating his parole a year ago. He was released on bond while awaiting trial for various charges stemming from a contentious divorce and custody case. His ex-wife had a no-contact order to keep him away from her and their children. The state now claims he violated parole by breaching this order. Despite the no-contact order, McDonald allegedly sent gifts addressed to his children, which his lawyer claims he didn't know violated the order.
Sent 2 gifts, that's it. No nasty notes with them. Mr. McDonald is not violent nor a threat to the community. He has had no allegations of violence.
The defense argues for his continued freedom until trial.
His condition was to have no contact with the individual, his ex-wife. Approximately a month ago in June, he then mailed a number of items to his wife's address.
However, Judge Kathy Hardcastle is aware of the history and isn't convinced.
Would note that back in the family court, he constantly violated orders. He would always insist that the order said something else. I'm not sure that he is capable of controlling himself because he wasn't before. So based upon that, I am granting the motion.
Just when you thought McDonald couldn't sink any lower, his behavior in the courtroom will leave you stunned. After the decision, court marshals approached McDonald to take him into custody. He resists, prompting a struggle.
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
Mike, calm down.
Behind your back.
Mike, calm down. Relax. Deep breath. Mike, deep breath.
I'm not listening about this. Come see my kids. Come on.
Mike, stop fighting with them. Hands back there. Help them with cuffs on you. Mike, put the handcuffs on. Or I'll put them on myself.
Come on.
I'm on your side, Mike.
Despite threats of being tased, McDonald continues resisting, leading to additional charges.
I just want to see my kids now getting prosecuted as an enemy of the state. I just want. I've done nothing.
McDonald was later found guilty of burglary, forgery, and perjury related to his divorce case, receiving a sentence of 24 to 68 months in Nevada State Prison. He also faced an extra charge of resisting an officer due to his actions during the hearing.
He's a maggot.
Yeah, you're a tough guy.
He's a maggot, punk. You should have died. He's a baby. I'm a maggot.
Anytime, Mr. Gaines.
Shut up, punk.
My daddy owns the building and I look like a idiot, huh? Brought your dress today, you little prick.
Want to be in the room or not?
Do you want to suck my?
I prefer not to, sir. Then also.
You threatened my life, you
In the
you
back room.
suck my No, I'm not standing.
Stop resisting.
I'm not resisting, I'm just not
Stand
standing.
up.
I'm not standing. I don't have to stand. I hope you fall on that baby's head, you stupid never threatened that bitch.
This is Sidney Newsom, who is standing before Southern District Judge Aubrey Rimes in Pike County Justice Court in Mississippi. Nome is facing a domestic violence charge and is handcuffed and shackled. Initially, he appears relatively calm as he reviews the paperwork. Tension starts building when the transport officer taps the table, seemingly agitating Nome. Not long after, Nome's mother and brother enter the courtroom, and he tries to go and meet them before being guided back by the officer. After signing the paperwork, Nome starts arguing with the judge. The judge wasn't having it today and quickly ordered his removal from the court, but Nome has a plan. He hurls a stack of papers at the judge, but that doesn't satisfy him. The transport officer attempts to subdue Nome, but he overpowers her, escalating the situation. Nome then hurls a telephone at the judge and knocks over a computer monitor. It's now time for Judge Rimes to take control, and he did. Nome's brother becomes involved, adding to the confusion. Additional transport officials rushed in to assist, finally escorting Nome out of the courtroom. Judge Rimes regains control, and court staff works to restore order. Nome's brother is eventually removed from the court and proceedings resume. As a result of his disruptive behavior, Sidney Nome is charged with contempt of court and serves 48 hours in jail. However, this wasn't the only time a convict freaked out during their sentencing.
It's too small anyway.
Take, for example, the case of 49-year-old Anthony Redding, who's facing a charge of felonious assault in Union County, Ohio. Redding allegedly punched his girlfriend in the face so badly that she lost an eye. Redding claimed the punch was in self-defense and pleaded not guilty. As if Redding's crime was not outrageous enough, his reaction to his sentence was even more dramatic.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court's informed that you have reached a verdict. Is that correct?
Yes.
This jury finding the defendant, Anthony Wayne Redding, is guilty of the charge of felonious assault.
After the jury reached a verdict and was dismissed, Redding geared up to hear his sentence from Judge Donald Frazier. However, Redding's emotions ran high before the sentence was read.
That's what I got. Satan.
His attorney puts in a word, hoping to get him to his senses.
Anthony, I can make things to make that right. Yeah, we still got sentencing to go through.
It's too small anyway.
While they exchange words, the judge intervenes before the situation escalates.
No reason for you to be acting this way.
Come on, let's go.
I think it's appropriate that the deputies put you in restraints before the court imposes sentence.
Give me 18. Yeah.
With the proceedings continuing, the prosecutor presents their statement, arguing for a strict and stringent sentence based on Redding's conduct dating back to 2008.
The state believes that his conduct, dating back to at least 2008, warrants the most strict and stringent sentence available.
Shut the up. Piece of shit.
Then it's Redding's turn to speak.
It's not good. I did not intentionally hit shit. And this would be ruination of my life.
Finally, Judge Frazier delivers the sentence.
All right. Well, the court finds that there's no genuine remorse shown here. The court further finds that a maximum sentence is warranted. Total prison sentence imposed is 18 years.
Redding is sentenced to 18 years in state prison. This means he won't be eligible for release until 2037, when he'll be 68 years old. However, Anthony Redding isn't alone in his courtroom actions. Let Timothy Jones Jr., another tragic and chilling story, unfolded. Timothy Jones Jr., a father from South Carolina, faced charges for the murder of his 5 young children. During the trial, it was revealed that Jones confessed to killing his 6-year-old son, Nathan, by exercising him until he died after an electrical outlet was broken in their home in August 2014. Afterward, Jones spent hours contemplating his options, even leaving the other children at home with Nathan's body while he went out with his oldest child. Ultimately, he decided to kill all of his children. He strangled his 8-year-old daughter, Mira, and his 7-year-old son, Elias, with his hands. He used a belt to choke his 2-year-old son, Gabriel, and his 1-year-old daughter, Abigail, because his hands were too large. Jones then wrapped the bodies of all 5 children in plastic and drove across the southeastern United States for 9 days, making erratic trips and engaging in various activities, all while transporting the children's bodies. During this time, Jones researched countries that don't extradite suspects to the US, and even took his passport. He searched for ways to disintegrate the bodies faster and, disturbingly, played his oldest daughter's favorite song, Butterfly Kisses, according to his confessions and phone records. Jones eventually disposed of the bodies in garbage bags on a hillside near Camden, Alabama. He was arrested after being stopped at a traffic checkpoint in Smith County, Mississippi. An officer, detecting the smell of decomposition from his vehicle, led to Jones's capture and the grim discovery of his horrific actions.
It was 2 patrol cars, a black Escalade. As I was walking up to the black Escalade, I noticed a foul odor, and I asked, "What is that smell?" And they said it was coming out of the vehicle. It was a smell of decomposition. It's a smell that you don't forget.
The defense argued that Jones's diseased and damaged brain prevented him from understanding right from wrong when he committed the murders, claiming insanity. They pointed out that the children were not malnourished and did not show signs of regular abuse, suggesting that Jones's mental state and difficult life circumstances may have contributed to his actions. However, this defense did not hold up in court, and the jury ultimately found Jones guilty of the horrific murders of his children.
As to indictment 189, Elias, guilty. 190, Abigail, guilty. 191, Gabriel, guilty. 195, Natan, guilty. And it is so signed by the foreperson this 4th day of June.
Lori's story is one of unimaginable betrayal and tragedy, further emphasizing the chilling reality of parents who take the lives of their own children.
A juror who voted to convict Lori Daybell of murdering her children is slamming the killer mom.
Lori Vallow Daybell is facing murder charges in Idaho alongside her husband Chad Daybell for the deaths of her 2 children, 7-year-old JJ Vallow and 16-year-old Tylee Ryan.
I'll know that I love you. I want you.
The couple is also suspected of involvement in the death of Chad's first wife, Tammy Daybell. Before this tragic series of events, Lori seemed to have a picture-perfect life. She was married to businessman Charles Vallow, and together they raised Tylee, Lori's daughter from a previous marriage, and adopted JJ Charles's sister's grandson, who had autism. Lori was described as a loving and patient mother to JJ, making the unfolding story even more shocking. However, things began to change around 2017. Lori started immersing herself in doomsday literature and apocalyptic beliefs. Enter Chad Daybell, an author of fictional books centered on preparing for the end of the world. The two hit it off, forming both a personal and religious connection, even co-hosting podcasts to discuss their extremist beliefs. This marked the beginning of a downward spiral that would ultimately lead to tragedy.
On the Edge of Heaven, where I tell more about my 2 near-death experiences and how that prompted me to write my novels.
Things took a chilling turn when Lori's friends revealed that she had begun talking about zombies, not the brain-eating kind, but people whose souls were allegedly taken over. She even referred to her own husband, Charles Vallow, as a demon. This led Charles to file for divorce, fearing for his safety and the children's. The situation took a tragic and violent turn when Charles went to Lori's home to drop off JJ. He was shot and killed by Lori's brother, Alex Cox. Lori and Tylee claimed they heard the shooting and insisted it was an act of self-defense, but the circumstances surrounding the event raised serious questions about what had really happened. Things continued to spiral out of control as Lori moved closer to Chad, settling in Rexburg, Idaho. Her brother Alex, who had already shown violent tendencies, conveniently moved into the same apartment complex.
I got in a fight with my brother-in-law and I shot him in self-defense. Is he hurt or is he alive or? Yeah, there's blood. He's not moving.
You know, no weapons? No weapons on me. All right, come on out this way. I'm gonna have you have a seat right here on the curb.
Inside is Lori Vallow's 4th husband, Charles, dead on the living room floor.
What happened today? How did it get to this? And then your niece pulls out a bat?
Well, it wasn't verbal. He was getting close, and she came out to defend my sister. Her bat.
Your niece?
Yes.
Okay.
And then she poked at him, and then he took it away. I turned around, and he hit me in the back of the head with the bat. So I went to my room and got my gun.
So you went to your room, meaning the room you're staying in?
Yeah.
Okay, and you brought a gun with you?
Yes.
You always bring a gun?
I have a concealed carry always.
Okay, so are you? Okay, just stand over there for just a second, guys.
Then, the unimaginable happened. Both JJ and Tylee vanished without a trace. Their disappearance sent shockwaves through their community, and the search for the children quickly became a nationwide effort. What seemed like a tragic mystery would soon uncover a much darker reality about the events leading to their disappearance. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that something sinister was at play. Suspicion turned to Chad's property when human remains were discovered in shallow graves. It was a heartbreaking discovery, and the remains were soon identified as those of JJ and Tylee. This chilling revelation brought to light the unimaginable tragedy that had unfolded behind closed doors. Lori and Chad were slapped with first-degree murder charges for the deaths of JJ and Tylee, and Chad faced an additional charge for the murder of his first wife, Tammy. As the trial unfolded, a jury delivered its verdict, finding Lori Vallow Daybell guilty of all charges. This marked a pivotal moment in the case, as the full extent of their crimes was finally acknowledged in court.
Lori Noreen Vallow not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell. Answer, guilty.
Chad pleaded not guilty to all charges. Lori Vallow Daybell, also known as the Doomsday Mom or Cult Mom, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She showed no reaction as she was led away to begin her sentence. Lori's story was complicated, and her crimes were horrific, but there would be even more shocking revelations about others involved in this twisted tale. However bad you think Timothy Jones's case was, it can't compare to the notorious case of Michelle Blair. This is Michelle Blair, who is facing charges for multiple murders. Her case is one of the most horrifying and tragic stories of parental violence.
Struggle with them all the time. They were never there.
In a shocking and horrifying case that gripped the nation, Michelle Blair, a mother of 4 from Detroit, Michigan, murdered 2 of her own children and kept their bodies in a freezer for nearly 3 years. The gruesome discovery was made on March 24, 2015, when Blair was evicted from her apartment due to unpaid rent. During the eviction process, court officials stumbled upon a deep freezer in Blair's living room, containing the remains of her 2 children, Stephen Barry and Stoney Blair. The police were immediately notified, and it was determined that the children had been dead for at least 3 years. The medical examiner ruled their deaths as homicides. Michelle Blair was arrested and brought to trial, where she confessed to the murders of Stephen and Stoney.
To my understanding, to get a trial is to get to the truth, right? I'm already saying that I did it. I'm freely giving myself and accepting life in prison. My son is worth that to me. So what I don't understand is, from what I heard today, why the prosecutors are dragging their feet. If I'm already giving myself to you, like, hey, I did this, what's the problem? You get what I'm saying? I'm not gonna come back like, oh, I didn't understand my rights. I'm not a coward.
Michelle Blair's confession revealed a disturbing and tragic sequence of events. She claimed that she killed her 2 children, Stephen and Stoney, because they allegedly abused her youngest son, Matthew. However, these claims were never substantiated. Blair's confession stated that in August 2012, she discovered that Matthew was simulating inappropriate behavior with dolls and later learned that he had been abused by his older brother, Stephen. In a fit of rage, Blair physically assaulted Stephen, pouring scalding hot water on his private parts, making him drink Windex and choking him. Ultimately, Stephen died from the abuse. Instead of turning herself into the police, Michelle Blair decided to conceal her daughter Stoney's body by placing it in a plastic bag and storing it alongside her son Stephen's body in the freezer. This gruesome discovery remained hidden for nearly 3 years. During the trial, Blair showed no remorse for her actions, insisting that she did what she believed was right. In June 2015, she pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree premeditated murder and was sentenced to life in prison. She is currently serving her sentence at the Huron Valley Correctional Facility in Ionia, Michigan. The case remains one of the most disturbing examples of parental abuse and murder.
You take responsibility of it. You're therefore sentenced to the Michigan Department of Corrections for the rest of your life without the possibility of parole, meaning, of course, that you will never get out.
Justin Ross Harris is a man who faced charges for the murder of his 22-month-old son, Cooper Harris, in Georgia. In June 2014, Harris left his son in a hot car for several hours while he went about his day. The tragic event occurred when Harris forgot to drop his son off at daycare and instead left him in the car while he went to work. The temperatures inside the vehicle reached over 90-32 DC, and Cooper died from heat stroke.
That's my patrol car. That's the vehicle I was driving that day. The blue lights, in fact, are the blue lights that I turned on when I first began driving up Cobb Parkway.
The father was supposed to drop the child off at daycare, but forgot and went to work instead.
Finished the work day, and then I was driving down Acres Mill. I caught a glimpse of him when I looked to my right to change lanes. I caught a glimpse of him in the back, and I thought I saw it. I thought I was seeing things.
Harris initially claimed that it was an accident and that he forgot his son was in the car, but investigators later uncovered evidence that led to suspicions of foul play. It was revealed that Harris had been engaging in an affair and had searched online about how hot a car gets for a child. Additionally, he was seen making phone calls and texting about personal matters while his son was trapped in the vehicle.
Evidence to show that he was in a vehicle that was maybe 90 degrees or 95 degrees, but less than 100. Could a person survive in that temperature in a vehicle?
Yes.
Looking at the totality of these circumstances, if Cooper Harris hypothetically was left in his vehicle at 9 o'clock in the morning and law enforcement were called sometime after 4 o'clock, is it possible he was alive around lunchtime?
if the temperature at lunch was only in the 90s, low 90s. Yes.
Harris
was arrested and charged with malice murder, felony murder,
and what
and
he said during
second-degree
the
cruelty
interview
to children.
to suggest that.
Monica, show emergency. There's a baby on the ground.
June 18th, 2014, Vinings, Georgia. People at a shopping center watch in horror as a man pulls out a toddler's body from an SUV.
We don't know if the baby's breathing. It doesn't look like it. Do you see anybody around them? Yeah, his dad, and it was like somebody trying to give him CPR.
During his trial, the prosecution argued that Harris intentionally left his son in the car as part of a plan to escape his responsibilities as a father, while the defense contended that it was a tragic mistake. In November 2016, Justin Ross Harris was convicted of all charges related to his son's death. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, which many considered a fitting sentence for the heart-wrenching tragedy. The case sparked widespread debate about parental responsibility, negligence, and the consequences of such horrific actions. The father was supposed to drop the child off at daycare but forgot and went to work instead. When the father left work and began driving home, he discovered the child unresponsive in the back seat. Despite attempts by witnesses to resuscitate the child, it was too late. The temperatures that day exceeded 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and the interior of a hot car can reach temperatures as high as 130 to 140 degrees within a few hours. The child was left in the car for around 7 hours. The case of Justin Ross Harris and the tragic death of his son Cooper became a highly publicized and controversial trial. The evidence presented, including Harris's online searches and his behavior leading up to the incident, painted a disturbing picture of neglect and potential premeditation. Despite the defense's attempts to exclude certain evidence, such as the online searches, the jury found Harris guilty of multiple felony counts, including malice murder and cruelty to children.
How old were y'all when you met?
I was 18.
How old was he?
His 30s.
Did he have a wife?
Yes.
Did he have a kid?
Yes.
But he loved you and y'all were best friends?
Yes. Only had sex.
Did he seem nervous or anything?
Not at all. We talk about like everyday things and it get sexual sometimes.
Okay. And were pictures sent back and forth? Okay, well, these are different parts of your body, private parts.
He discovered that he searched.
Harris was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for his son's death, marking the end of a case that shocked many and raised awareness about the dangers of leaving children in cars. The outcome was seen by many as a just sentence for a crime that could have been avoided with a moment of responsibility. Thanks for watching. This shocking journey through these chilling cases leaves us with one question: how could anyone do this? If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another story. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about these cases and their sentences? Until next time, stay safe and take care.